Hello, welcome to Confidently Unsure. Today we're going to be talking about an interesting topic, mental health, and why it is a complete disaster, in particular in the United States, and some of the factors that play into that. So stick with it, and we're going to get right into it. All right, so the first point is going to be a lack of preventative treatment. And that's kind of a broader issue with healthcare in the United States. But just in general, there's just an extreme lack of, hey, how can we get in front of this and improve the situation before it gets more negative and worse? So that applies to mental health as well, where not enough people are seeing therapists that probably should be, or getting in front of a psychiatrist that probably should be. And so that leads into several issues, but it puts a bigger strain on other parts of the mental health institution, because if someone has to end up in a hospital because they weren't able to see a therapist or weren't recommended to see a therapist or a psychiatrist when they should have been, or just the overall vibe was that um, there wasn't a strong reason for them to go see one, and then they end up in a mental health facility, that can lead to other issues that could have been prevented. All right, now this second point might be a little obvious perhaps, but high costs really contribute to a big part of the issue with mental health care in the United States, and that ties into insurance as well. But essentially, it is incredibly expensive to maintain your mental health if you need that level of treatment, especially if you end up in a situation where you are hospitalized. That can grow into an astronomical bill, whether you have insurance or not. Even if you have good insurance, it might not um, cover some of those expenses or any of those expenses. Your copay could be pretty high. So that just creates a situation where you might not want to pursue healthcare. You might not want to check yourself into a facility because you know it costs a lot of money and you don't want to have that financial burden. So you carry around a mental health burden as opposed to getting the treatment that you need. And that again is ties into just an overall healthcare problem in the United States. Insurance in the US is just a complete scam. It's laughably bad when it comes to covering mental health. And so it ends up being a situation where a bill that should be pretty affordable, or that you would expect to be relatively affordable, ends up being rather expensive, prohibitively expensive. So unless you're really well off, you might not be able to afford to get healthcare, which honestly doubles down the factor that a lot of people that need mental health care probably don't have enough resources to pay out of pocket for those things. And they might not even have insurance because they're not well off in that way. Because essentially, in order to have insurance, you have to be working full time at a major company or some kind of substantial company. You can't be working for yourself. And the Affordable Care Act and different aspects of that are no longer as potent as they used to be. So essentially, getting affordable health insurance is kind of a non starter for most people. So, and just in general, there's not enough resources to go around in the mental health space. There's a lack of therapists, there's a lack of doctors in terms of psychiatrists. Um, and it's partially because it requires a great deal of costly education expenses to join the field. Several years. I mean, you're going to have to get at least a master's degree to become a doctor. Obviously, you need a PhD. That can I mean, that's so you're looking at, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years of your life just to get the education before you've even started making money. And then on top of that, you're going to take out loans. I mean, even if you're well off, there's just no way you're going to get a PhD without taking out some loans. Even if you're working while in college, it's just too expensive. And so when someone's looking at, okay, what do I want to do for the rest of my life? It's not exactly something you want to turn to unless you are passionate about that field. You're less likely to look at that and say, "Oh, yeah, I want to sign up for 6 to 8 years of my life, and pay $100,000, $200,000 for this education, maybe more." And it's not a guarantee that you'll absolutely love that field or what have you. So it's a big risk to take, and taking on all that financial burden is not an easy pill to swallow. So college education just on its own is just a complete mess. One more point is the patient doctor relationship is simply not as strong as it used to be, or at least it's not strong at all now in terms of the way things are structured. It's more of a number crunching and profitability kind of thing as opposed to patient care. So if a psychiatrist can get someone in and out in 15 minutes, they're much more likely to want to do that than spend 30 minutes with them. Even if they need that level of care and that time, it becomes a thing where, hey, if this appointment's supposed to last between 55 minutes and 65 minutes, you're going to hit that 55, 50-minute mark most of the time because again, it's a numbers game. We have to keep the patients rolling, get the new ones in. And that's partially because, again, the lack of resources. There's too many patients, so, hey, you can take it or leave it. You can come in for this 15-minute session or not. But if you want that 30-minute session, you might have to look elsewhere. So, in that way, it becomes a thing where psychiatrists are more willing to punt it over to therapists, and therapists are more willing to punt it over to psychiatrists. And so issues can go back and forth. And yes, there is supposed to be a fair communication between the two, but also, treatment should have a better patient relationship in there where the patient has more say in like that process. And so I think in general, the relationship isn't as strong as it used to be. It's more on the doctor's side, how they want to run the show, and patients have less say in their level of care and how they're treated. All right, well, thanks for watching. This was kind of a quick video. I just wanted to highlight some things about mental health. Thanks for watching Confidently Unsure, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day and take care.